Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I will be talking about my journaling ecosystem. Before I talk about my journals as of right now, I want to talk about my background in journaling. I used to be a big bullet journal user. I used them for about 3 years. I have like 3 journals that are very artistic. Not that good because I'm not an artist in the visual sense, but there were a lot of creative pursuits I did. And my first few journals were a lot of drawings, and that's why I don't think they were the best because I'm not very good that kind of artist. But later on, I started finding my style, which is scrapbooking. I really, really, really love the kind of look of journals that are scrapbooked. And then, as life got more hectic, I kind of went away from bullet journaling and I started using Notion more heavily, mostly because it got more popular, and also I just started figuring it out more and finding the actual template or the style of Notion that I like to use. And I started using digital planners and stuff like that. I actually still use Notion for most of my academic planning, but there are a few other ways of using journals. So let me talk about my journaling system for 2026 and kind of a little bit about 2025 because this 2025 was the year I spent most with Notion, but I also came across a few other planners that I've been using, want to start using more, and this year I am testing out a new planner, and it's the most kind of basic one that I always shied away from because I just didn't like the way it was designed, and it was the actual like planner you can buy at a store. So let's talk about it first because this is my life planner. So this is the 2026 life planner I'm using. It's a Latvian planner made for Latvian, and it is, I don't even know the brand, there's no branding. But this is a very basic planner. You can see it's just with a day and the timestamps, and weekends get smaller, half page. I didn't like this mostly because of the timestamps, because time blocking is not my planning style and I don't really benefit from it, but I decided to try it mostly because I have stopped using bullet journals, and I think I can find creative ways to fill the pages not using timestamps. A big thing of my productivity, I use a lot of to-do lists. Last year I used this little notebook that is filled just with to-do lists everywhere, and it's just a random day. It's not dated, so I can just put a random date and put everything that I need to do. And I probably still will use that notebook if I have very extensive and like dense to-do lists where like there's one task but there's so many subtasks, because for this one there's like space for it. There's a lot of space, each day gets a page, but I feel like there's sometimes I need to info dump, and I'm also using it for info dumping. As you can see here, there's no to-do list. I just wrote down some stuff that I learned about on 6th of January, but I wanted to make this journal mine. So I have implemented a little bit of the bullet journaling techniques, such as I've added some pages, one page exactly, with craft paper, and I just decided to do a little mindset archive where I put my intentions and my kind of goals for the new year. I'm not making some like crazy goals of like, I don't know, I want to be fit, I want to do splits, I want to get all like grades 9 plus. I kind of went in the more relaxed but also mindful way, because one of my biggest goals for this academic year was to be more mindful about my mental health and everything, just be mindful. And I found on Instagram some kind of video. I can't find it anymore. I wanted to check it because now I did this planning from memory, but it divided like a page in 4 parts, and there was one, who I want to be. You just write who you want to be. Then there's what I do as that person, what I have as that person, and the focus. The focus, you usually write one word or collocation that you want to focus on this year, and that really helped me put into perspective what I want to do. So I have this page here. I've also used some washi tape and stickers somewhere where I find there's space and to make it more interesting. Right now I haven't done that in the days, but I was thinking of maybe adding some stickers there, and that's mostly how I make this more personal. But that is the main academic or life planner. It's both academics, life, everything goes into this. Next up I have, let's talk about this small cute notebook. This is there was a brand, I know there is. This is a Flame Tree notebook. I got it at a bookstore, and I use this as my commonplace notebook. I haven't used it much, but I really like this for my historical research, for history. I also have some just random fixation notes on here, for example, about Anglo-Saxon literature and King Arthur. King Arthur, this is a very big page for me because I had a speech about King Arthur, and I used this notebook to figure out how I want to outline the speech and everything. I haven't used much of it because I don't know. Every time I think about using it, every time I need it, like I would use it, I forget that I have this, but I want to implement it more into my ecosystem and works this year. Sorry, I took a little bit of a break, but I have coffee with me. So I have 2 of the main journals left, and I wanted to talk about a big part of this channel is reading, of course. It is the Anna's Book Hub, and I have a reading journal. Last year I had 2. I had my old one, the green one that was mentioned in the book bracket. That was for all the book reviews and book stats and book bracket. And then last year I decided to join a readathon that I have talked about a lot on this channel, and I decided to make a new journal. And this one, actually, I'm kind of going back to my roots, and I have a bullet journal, which is just a dotted, my camera's not good enough, a bullet journal. But this one, last year at least, it was only for the readathon, the magical readathon, but this year I have changed it to be just my whole reading journal, and I've already made some spreads. Let me show you some of the spreads. I'm not very happy with the front cover page, but I am going back a little bit to the bullet journal aesthetic. Here, for example, I have mixed up. Here I have mixed some of the reading journal and readathon journal aspects, because here I have statistics and Hall of Fame and my letter to the 2027 self. I do that about book goals and reading every single year. And then, oh, I haven't finished this. Yeah, everything else is unfinished. Oh my god. Everything else isn't finished, but I have kind of merged these two because I was thinking the readathon journal I only really use when the readathon months are happening, so April and September. But my reading journal, what was happening was I used it at the start of the year, but not so much at the end. I just wrote the date and never wrote the books in it or printed out the books, although I usually print the covers of the books at the end of the year. But I wasn't filling it in, and I thought, okay, these 2 journals are not having the use that I want them to, and also my old reading journal was running out of space, and I thought I have so much space in this journal. And readathon, while I was setting up the readathon journal, took a lot of space. Actually filling it in doesn't, because I only use it for 2 to 3 months, because we also have Lightfall. And I was thinking, I have a wonderful opportunity to just have one journal for everything. So yes, this is my reading journal of 2026. And lastly, it's not really a journal, but I'm gonna count it in, is this red notebook. It's a line notebook, and I use it to write my diary. And it is not a diary in the sense of I write what's happened in the day. It's a little bit more deep and a little bit more philosophical. I write about the inspiration of the day, I kind of want to say, because I truly go in very philosophical focus while writing the entries for it. There's, like, for example, today I'm gonna write in this diary mostly because I haven't written it for a while. And I kind of find inspiration in everyday things, and I just write about them and then move to kind of like philosophical standpoint or like mindful standpoint. It's not just, oh, I did this and I feel that. It's more, I looked at a broader sense and try to figure out what's kind of highlighting the times that I write. I don't write this too regularly, but this is kind of why I don't write the standard sense, typical sense of diary entries, because I tried to keep diary for my whole life, never have kept it. I have so many notebooks I've started, like written 5 days and then nothing, and all of them were kind of like the diary entry typical ways. And this one, I have a notebook, I wanted to use it up because I hate I hate empty notebooks. I always think there needs to be empty notebooks for spare, but I hate seeing them empty and I want to fill them up. I just love notebooks. And I decided that I want to try keeping a diary again, but I knew that typical diary entries aren't gonna do the thing that I want, so I decided to go more the philosophical route. And I feel like the philosophical route is so interesting. Every single like entry I have starts differently, but also they're kind of the same. And like, I feel like even though I try not to go to like the day highlights or something like that, the day or the mood that I'm having that day does show, because there was parts of entries where I wasn't feeling my best. I was kind of slumped down by the amount of coursework I had, and it showed. I was writing a lot about like not knowing what my academic purpose is, although I love academics and education. It shows, and I'm very glad that it does. I want to keep being active in this diary entry notebook diary, but I think that takes us to the end of the video. So write down in comments, are you having any journal ecosystems, planning ecosystems, or are you planning in just one notebook and that's it for you, or are you just not using any planning systems? I heavily encourage using at least a journal or just notebook to write your to-do list. Honestly, to-do lists are the key part of staying organized, at least for me. Time blocking, I can see how it is useful, but not for me. It's not for me. I just need a to-do list to write everything down that I need to do, sort it out through like themes or subjects, and I'm gonna be good to go. And the feeling you get when you can cross off a thing to-do list does feel very good. So I encourage you to think about this year's productivity and maybe try keeping a journal, or just think about how you want to document your life, because even though journals are mostly, at least mine, are mostly for keeping organized, I do think they are quite good representations of me and how I live my life. So I think you could try thinking about how your journals represent you, and do you like the system you have going on, or do you want to upgrade it, completely change it? I encourage you to go and think about your journals. Bye!